Concerning the conflict in Israel and the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, I am curious if what if there's an immediate ceasefire declared, and to every Palestinian in Israel and outside of Israel, you say, okay, you are given a free bus ticket, transportation ticket, so that you can use public transportation, and you're given a government credit card, and you go to the place in Israel that is your ancestral home, a place that you have been displaced from, and uh, either meet with an agent or live stream or geo record whatever, and say, okay, this is my home. This is a place where I was living, and you give to on the credit card to this person. You give or they can go to they can stay at a motel, and they can get a meal for one at a restaurant, and the in the meantime, the government can sort of get all the requests of all these people and sort of determine, okay, what can we do with it. And by government I mean local government, the the town, the county, and then I would say all you can have for an ethno an anthropologist, ethnographer. Um, I apologize for terminology, but essentially a person who studies people and their histories, and linguistics, people and historians, because people who have been it's like you want people to go to the place and say, like, well, this is the name of this place, here is the name of this place, here's a history or a legend or a story about this place, and these are like things that people would be like, hey, that's great history to record and stuff like that. You want a college student who's trained to go for that, or to be there and to escort that person and sort of just survey the land and just understand that, okay, here's the history of this place, here is everything that I know, that my family knows, and sort of establish, like, well, if there's a lineage, based on family, clan, tribe, what have you, and like what were the boundaries, that ethnic boundaries of that place. Um, because I'm a fan of uh, religion for breakfast and let's talk about religion, and the other YouTube channels, and just the plethora, myriad of uh, different religious uh, peoples that live in these environments, and just how they live, how they go about, just like civilization. Man has been living in that place since 10,000 BCE. The and what's wild is people just living there. This is before the technology, like whatever technology they had, but based on what can you do with wood, what can you do with a rock, and but it was it just happened to be that oh, hey, this stuff you can grind up into beer. And, um, but the in terms of Israel, and like, what would you do? Like, what? How can you help people um, get along? And yeah, it's like, how do you go forward? Because it's like two-state solution. I understand now why that's a it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the other thing, um, so the it's this idea and understanding that, well, we need to go by what the holy text says we need to have as the land of a people. And listening to Bassem Youssef, and how he talked about, some Jewish rabbis, they didn't want uh, to go back to Palestine for a homeland. They were, sort of like, oh, we can go with a different, um, what should we call it? A different place, like in the Americas, in um, or even, some, place of Africa. But so it's, what am I trying to get at? Um, like, how do you go forward? And because I'm also just happen to be listening to the history of uh, North America, and how the American Revolution. Um, and so there's one side of the American Revolution we hear about, and then there's the side of the Native Americans. And the Native Americans believed that they would be able to participate in the Congress of the United States, and be on an equal footing, because their tribe, their nation, was part of the land. And and the founding fathers entertained that idea, on the surface. And then, but once the war was over, the Native Americans were not included. Um, the so that's just something I'm thinking about in terms of, like, what's the solution? Like, how do you come to terms with what's going on in Israel, and with the conflict, and like, and what's the resolution? How do you um, come to peace? And because, when you think about, why did we get to this place now where jets are dropping bombs on neighborhoods and killing civilians, um, and hospitals, um, over a year into the conflict, um, because it's just maddening, the carnage and the bloodshed, and the violence, to who and why. And it so it's like, if you could stop the violence right now, and just let a lot of people say, right now, like, hey, if you used to live in one place of Israel, here's your chance, go there. uh, a college student, or more, will meet you, uh, and you can walk around your old homeland, and name and share, like, histories, and family, legends and whatnot. um, and And then, like, if the county leadership or the town leadership said, okay, I got this guy who, well, they used to own this farm, and they were wealthy and they had all this business, and well, now they're here, but everybody already has all that stuff. So what's left? What is available? Um, what can I do with these people? And and it's a question of like, all right, what skills does this person have? Um, so I think, well, if anything, after school, education, we're like, they're offering education, they're participating in, um, just like, you know what's going on with the schools, what the schools need in terms of, needing people to, just provide information, and so, and that's part of where I decided to make this video of, like, can you get some people, like, just declare a ceasefire, let people, go to their homes, um, and give them a job for right now, and then give them a job for long term, is the way the leadership of the community would need to think about these people here, because how do you establish reparations, for what's been going on, and how do you move forward? And it's because Israel doesn't have a constitution, that I've heard about, that I was like, okay, what's the way forward? What's the way to, um, because right now in the United States there is, discussion of the Constitution and habeas corpus, and the rights of persons, uh, and so it's what is the relationship of the people who live on the land, and that is what needs to be considered, because if the relationship is one people are to be subjugated or lesser than an other, uh, for what reason and for what cause and for what justification is the treatment of this person to be an other? Um, so it's because you can declare a ceasefire immediately, and that saves money, because, military soldiers, they go home, and you say, okay, we're not destroying, we're not firing, we're not creating havoc, like, okay, um, and then what do you do with these people? Well, rather than force them to, um, be caged up and, uh, in refugee camps, um, say like, hey, let the people go to their homes, wherever it is in Israel, have college students talk to them, hang out with them for a couple of days. Um, if the people need therapy, like, that's, government credit card, um, and this, the community leadership can then say, okay, what skills does this person have? Where can we put them? And what, like, because you don't want to create, because, in my opinion, this person wants to return home, but they can't return home. Um, and so, what's the next best option? And what's the next peaceful option? And in the broader scope, for Israel, what is the best way forward? and I think the best way forward is to just consider the people need to vote on a constitution. Um, the people need to vote on a political party that is in agreement for the rule of law and for um, you know this land. It doesn't, because with a vote you can change the name, to another name, um, and the and what I mean by that is like, well, um, because look at the history. um, but it's consider that everyone could live together and everyone could be a neighbor, um, and because the, there's a false narrative of following the religious texts to establish like rights and ownership. And the reason why I say that is because I my understanding of how the Bible was constructed, because if that's what people are using to justify, is like, no, you don't want to use the Bible to justify things, especially like, oh, well, what is this land? Um, so it's it's like, consider a reset of the relationships of the people living where they are, and consider that instead of violently driving out this other, um, maybe we need to rethink of what we are doing and how we're going about with life. So it's a this is my plea to try to save children from being killed. Um, so hoping it helps. So how do I end? The chat so that I bam. Yes, I want to stop streaming.